it should come as no surprise that right now, the Republican Party that said that the Democrats were overreaching with impeachment and with cancel culture are currently trying to cancel Rachel Maddow from Twitter and impeach Joe Biden. And what are they trying to impeach Joe Biden for? For having a conversation with President Ghani of Afghanistan before he fled the country, and telling him, like, basically, dude, shape up, start acting like a real president, or this country's going to fall even faster. Which you would do before, if you're having the conversation like that after he's already fled the country, you might have a case. But if you're trying to make sure the country stays afloat while you're getting your people out, that is exactly the conversation you are having with someone like him, with President Ghani. You're like, dude, act like a president, start putting out a good message, start standing up, because you're going to get our people killed. And that's precisely what happened. I would argue that Ghani's leaving the country and their inability to even pretend they were going to stay in Kabul during our removal led directly to the deaths of our soldiers and 170 Afghans. So nobody's saying that, of course, because they can't, because the Rudy Giulianis of the world need you to believe that Joe Biden needs to be impeached, apparently. This is Giuliani. Biden should be investigated for treason. Well, that's at least forgiving. He should be investigated. Should he? What are they going to investigate? They're going to look at the transcripts of the phone call he made telling Ghani to shape up? Maybe it's something else. Maybe Rudy believes that he's weaponizing the DOJ. He wants Biden to be investigated for all the things that he encouraged Trump to do while in office, but didn't.
I've got to go back to you one more time. In your reasoned opinion, do you believe Joe Biden is guilty of treason and should be impeached immediately?
Okay, first of all, reasoned opinion from Rudy Giuliani. Hilarity. And this is, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen either of them look better. If you're going to take advice from someone on how to govern or run an organization or run a country or even a city, what you want to go to is the former mayor of New York City who pre-9/11 thought it was a good idea to put the emergency response team in the same building that had been bombed a few years before and was ultimately destroyed in the next bombing. And then this guy who did a private send us your money to build a section of the wall thing and turned out to be a complete scam and had to be pardoned by this guy's former client, who isn't paying him for his legal services because he considers him a loser, and is now doing a podcast on Real America Voice, which, if you have to say it, isn't true. It's kind of like wearing a shirt that says alpha male. You know what I mean? Like, are you really? I had a joke on I did a show called Pop Shot for VH1 that I created, and they stole and made into other shows. But in it, I had this one gag, about barbed wire tattoos. This was a while back, and people getting, tattoos of barbed wire on your arm. And I was like, getting a tattoo of barbed wire on your arm is like walking around in a shirt that says tough on it. It's just not convincing. And then we cut back to me and I was wearing a shirt that said tough on it. But in this particular instance, when you're saying we really know how to do stuff, we're the guys who really, and then this guy is ultimately doing a podcast in front of an unused fireplace in his front room because no one's coming over for dinner. No one. I mean, could you eat there? Much less would you? Yeah. Oh, I'm calling him out. Don't think I'm not.
Those charges of treason.
I would say there's certainly. I have to put it this way: there's
oh God.
a case to be made and a case to be investigated. if this were a Republican president and a Democrat Congress, they would have begun an investigation for impeachment the day after it happened. You and I have.
By the way, great editing on the part of Steve Bannon's Pandemic War Room, or whatever the shit his show is, and Rudy himself. Who posted this? Was it? Yeah, this is Bannon's War Room posted this. Great posting this, guys. Picking up after whatever he's referencing. So if you're just rolling into this next week, tomorrow night, whatever, and you want to go, well, I'm curious what Rudy Giuliani would say about something. Why would he think that Joe Biden should be impeached or somewhat? Well, you might want to actually put the reason that you're making the... Yes, the glory hole is wide open. Yep, for Rudy. You just might want to post like this much longer on the, on the handles of this video, so that people can go, oh, they're talking about, and I'm assuming they're talking about Ghani and the phone call with that, right? It just says Biden should be investigated for treason, and then, yeah, there's no more to it than that. We'll just roll on that. Host Common Sense Podcast. I would say pro-cameoer.
No doubt about that. And it would be probably the most substantial one they've ever begun. Because technically,
what?
He's violated the constitutional provision. First of all, it requires you being at war. Well, he did it while he claims we were at war with the Taliban. War wasn't over until we left. While we were at war, we gave them an airbase. We gave them an airbase filled with billions of dollars in armaments.
Oh, I see. Because we left Afghanistan and we were leaving the base for the Afghan military, which had collapsed, that we should have, since the military collapsed, stayed there, taken it over, and continued to be there. And so by living up, by the way, by living up to staying 3 months longer than Trump's exit, that's treason. Like, for Christ's sake.
We gave them a list of our people, and then also the Afghanis who helped us.
No, we didn't. And by the way, we gave them vehicles, like let this bus through, let this truck through, let this car through. The people that were either in those vehicles, all of them made it. Insofar as I know, Rudy knows, Steve Bannon knows, anybody has talked about, none of them are even making the case that any of the people on the list didn't make it through. Not a one. He's never made that case that I've heard. Steve Bannon's never made that case. Fox bitches about this left and right. None of them have made the case that we gave a list of people to the Taliban, and instead of letting them through, they killed them or disappeared them or whatever. Hal, one question, is it me or does Rudy look sickly? No, he always looks like that. He always looks like shit. Yeah, he's not a healthy man. On any front.
A kill list. It's like giving it to the Nazis.
No, it isn't. If it is like giving it to the Nazis, let's just follow him down this path. If it was like giving it to the Nazis, which is, I would argue, what the American forces did ultimately. Let's see. If giving a list if giving a list of people that we want through checkpoints is like giving a kill list to the Nazis. Apparently these Nazis forgot to kill anyone, but also that means that according to Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump invited the Nazis to Camp David. Right? Yeah? You want to stick to that analogy, do you, Rudy? Huh? Because Trump invited the Taliban to meet with him at Camp David. On the Friday before Labor Day, President Trump gathered top advisors in the Situation Room to consider what could be among the profound decisions of his presidency. What decisions? He made none. a peace plan with the Taliban after 18 years of grinding bloody war in Afghanistan. The meeting brought to a head by a bristling conflict dividing this policy team for months, pitting Mike Pompeo against Bolton, the national security advisor. Bolton and his negotiator Zalmay Khalilzad made the case it would enable Mr. Trump to begin withdrawing troops while securing commitment for the Taliban not to shelter terrorists. Mr. Bolton, beaming in by video from Warsaw, where he was visiting, argued that Trump should keep his campaign pledge. Trump made no decision on the spot. What a shock! He didn't make a decision. It's almost like The Apprentice. But at some point during the meeting, the idea was floated to finalize the negotiations in Washington, a prospect that appealed to the president's penchant for dramatic spectacle. Trump suggested that he would even invite President Ashraf Ghani of Afghanistan, whose government has not been party to the talks, and get him to sign on. And then they wanted to bring in, they're going to bring him to Camp David, and they're going to say, unk and gruh. So, according to Rudy Giuliani, according to Rudy Giuliani, Trump invited the Nazis to Camp David, or would have.
I can go on and on. So you can
Yes, we know you can go on and on.
aid an enemy of the United States. That's all aid to an enemy of the United States. So it's certainly.
You told me. Okay.
What? No, it isn't. We didn't declare war on the Taliban. That was part of the war on terror that we went after Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. Believe me, if we'd had an authorized use of military force that included war on the Taliban, no one would have signed it.
Fine. You're saying he aided and abetted our enemies, and you're saying at least is worthy of an investigation, a deep investigation on a number of charges. Before I turn to another topic, however, I remember you and I used to have long conversations. This show started back in October.
None of us needed that. None of us. Oh, this is a good look, Rudy. Both of you. You look fabulous. And thanks for that really good look at your forehead right before you did this. I thought you were going to headbutt us.
19 as war of impeachment, right before we segue to the pandemic. I remember we would have you on many times, and you warned the American people about the politicization and
it's a hard word to say, politicization
of the impeachment process. And remember, the whole trumped-up charges regarding President Trump in the first impeachment, which I think the second impeachment even a bigger farce, but the first was a pretty big farce, was about essentially.
No, actually. And by the way, one would think that if he had any decent legal representation, and that was true, if the case you were making, Steve Bannon, it's a little rude of you to make that case in front of Rudy, because Rudy was advising him on both of those, and he got impeached in the House. If it was a complete farce, like you said, and it was obvious to everyone, then even some asshole lawyer with very few skills would have been able to, get him off the hook in the House, but apparently not.
Interagency process that President Trump did not kowtow as commander-in-chief to this Vindman interagency process with these whistleblowers, all this nonsense. And you warned us about
kowtow. Yeah, that's the thing about murderers and serial killers. They don't kowtow to this whole 12-person jury police investigation, CSI evidence gathering nonsense.
Weaponizing the impeachment process for things just like this. How would you weigh and measure that? Your warning about the weaponization and over-politicization of it versus your charges against Joe Biden today for investigation.
I would rather not have an impeachment. However, I think we're dealing with a situation that just because the Democrats misused it, we can't be denied the use of it when something is seriously.
Okay, first of all, I have never seen a person without Halloween makeup look more like a Halloween skull. I have to, seriously. Secondly, his argument is, look, since they may have overused impeachment, but that doesn't mean we can't use it. And what he wants to use it is, for specifically is we got out of Afghanistan and we negotiated with the people whose country it was on our way out the door to make sure our people didn't get killed unnecessarily. And Rudy's idea would have been to send in Chuck Norris and Delta Force with Ted Nugent on the top of the car like it was Mad Max Fury Road, and just wang dang doodly danging the whole time, and then they would kill a bunch of people and get a bunch of people killed, but at least it would have been a macho exit.
Harmful to the United States. Maybe even more serious is he should be removed under the 25th Amendment. The man is manifestly.
Yeah, but don't. Okay, fine. I got 25th Amendment put aside, but what about the impeachment process and about the weaponization of it?
I think you have to do it. This is serious enough.
Okay, I don't know why that all of a sudden got echoey. It's very strange. I pulled stuff out and I replugged it back in, and it should work just fine. It's very peculiar.
So that an American president who maybe he's doing it because he's mentally incompetent, but we don't know that. And then,
yeah, he's mentally incompetent, you know, like you would be if you took the advice of 80% of your military advisors, the one who've been saying we need to get out of here for 12 years. What did they think this was? That this was like a button on his nightstand and he pushed the wrong one? Look, I get them trying to make this argument against Biden because he's older, he's got a stutter, there's, you know, they use every pause he makes where he's considering what he says. He knows he's got an Irish temper. He knows he tends to, you know, he gets ahead of it, out over his skis linguistically, right? A lot of times. So he paces himself as president in a way he may not have in the House or the Senate or even as vice president. But how do you accidentally, oops, Grandpa ended the Afghanistan war? And if a mentally ill, old, demented man, just straight up headed towards Alzheimer's, can get us out of the Afghanistan war, what is everyone else's excuse?
he can defend himself that way. But the reality is, I don't think you can let an American president give away billions of dollars in dangerous armaments to a mortal enemy of the United States without taking note of it and doing something about it.
Equipment at Kabul airport demilitarized. Marine General Kenneth McKenzie, the head of U.S. Central Command, said some of the equipment had been, quote, demilitarized and has essentially been rendered inoperable. A U.S. Defense Department official said to a foreign media on condition of anonymity, the U.S. troops likely used thermite grenades, which burn at temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, to destroy key components of the equipment. Another defense official, also not authorized to speak publicly, said that a blast heard last week at the airport was related to destroying equipment. They did it at Bagram. They did it at every base. And you have to remember, not only, with Rudy Giuliani saying, you know, Biden aided and abetted terrorists by leaving all this gear to them, knowing full well, and Steve Bannon knows this too. Rudy might not because he's genuinely stupid. But in terms of like, and like Mike Lindell is a moron as well. There's a chance that Sean Hannity is dumb enough to not know this, but I doubt it. But all the people that run Fox News know full well that our soldiers destroyed a bunch of this shit on their way out the door. Like I said, threw thermite grenades in the MRAPs in the airplanes and that kind of stuff on their way out when it was obvious that the Afghan military was going to fall. Now, by repeating this bullshit that Rudy is pushing and a lot of these other folks are pushing, that Biden just left all this gear there, they are also tangentially laying this at the feet of our troops. They are saying that the American military, both the leadership and the grunts on the ground, did not have the decency, thought, prescience or wherewithal to destroy this shit on the way out the door. And they absolutely did, and they absolutely do. So this is moronic. And it's offensive because you're basically saying that the military on their way out were like, yeah, keep it, whatever. I hope the Taliban get it. I hope they run over some women while they're at it with our MRAPs. Nonsense. You are not going to like shit on our soldiers in my presence with that kind of garbage. Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, because this is, a lot of people are covering this. You believe it's worthy of an investigation for a potential impeachment?
Dude, I don't know. And Steve Bannon does this a lot too. He's trying to get Rudy Giuliani to give him a quotable nut that can float on the news. So if you ever watch Steve Bannon's show, he will get someone to rephrase like 3 or 4 different ways the exact same statement so that he can find a cuttable viral version of it that he can float on BitChute and Rumble and all these other places as these like finite little pieces of, I need a 30-second version of your bullshit, I need a 3-minute version of your bullshit, and I need a 1-sentence version of your bullshit. And he does it every day.
Of him on doing a formal investigation to see if he aided in...
How many times have we watched this asshole say the exact same thing? And no one is covering this.
It was aid and comfort to the enemy during a time of war. That's your theory of the case, correct?
And the aid and comfort is letting them get billions of dollars in arms that they are right now using to kill people.
No, they do not have billions of dollars worth of arms. They have machine guns that the Afghans had. They've got some trucks. They have like 2 helicopters. Even the helicopter with the dude dangling from it. I tweeted about this yesterday, but let's see. Man, where is it? Hold on. Man hanging from helicopter, Taliban. Yeah. Everybody was all of Rudy and his crowd were all talking about how this was they took somebody who helped us or one of our allies and they were hanging them and flying them over the country to whatever. Okay. Video of a man dangling from a helicopter in Kandahar, Afghanistan, shows the Taliban performing a public execution. Was what people made as a claim. AP's assessment: false. The video shows a Taliban fighter attempting to hang the Taliban flag on a tall flagpole on Sunday, according to 2 Kandahar residents who watched it happen. The man hanging from the chopper was alive and could be seen moving in the video. Like you guys have seen that, but I mean, this is part of the argument that these dickheads are making. That, oh my God, they got a hold of one of our things. The first thing they did was find somebody who helped us, string them up and fly them around like they were ISIS. They're dumbasses. These guys, the Taliban are hillbillies. And I know because I am a hillbilly. They're rednecks. Yeah, he waved. Exactly. The great Talabini. Yeah, it was a part of his big David Copperfield act. This is the worst Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil Taliban is the worst ever. But they want this to they want you to believe that that's what's going on, because then it looks like Biden's failing and their idea of and that their reasoning for never getting out, including the fact that Trump was saying the May 1st deadline was bullshit. We were going to blow past it. It was going to be a 2-year exit. All that stuff. Thanks, Can't Stop Lying.
Who are either people they oppose or people who have been friendly to the United States.
Gibberish. Just gibberish, the whole thing.